Alright, welcome back everyone. 欢迎大家回来。今天是第89天。It is day 89. Oh, I have to keep track. Okay, it's 96. Day 89. Let's look quickly here. Review. This is daytime. Was the stop. Yo. Was the stop. And up to. And the reason I stopped was I need to think of sprout. Not across and whatnot. Right. Yes. This one. Che. Gotta think of the bathroom. And this one, who? Frankenstein. It's a loose end here. Alright, let's get into it. Quick. We're a little bit behind. Maybe like 30 minutes behind. 刚刚 just now. So just now is just now. 刚刚 That's fine. Yeah, this would be then. Yeah, 刚刚。我刚刚走。
他刚刚走。
哦，他刚刚走。我们刚刚看的电影。Okay. Self-explanatory.
刚刚准确
Prepare. I mean standard. No. Yeah, standard. 确 was authentic. Standard authentic. Something that is accurate will follow the authentic standard of measuring exactly. Yeah, precise, exact. Okay. Yeah. 准确地说明
准确的说明
准确的 Oh, this is the right. It's the alternative read for this. And how did it work? It's like it's a li. It's like an adverbial ish. So accurately explained accurately or in accurate terms. Explained accurately. 准确的说明。准确的 information.
准确的资讯
资讯。Okay.
准确
Okay.
答复
To answer, copy, or to answer, return. Yes, or recover. Return or recover. Yeah. Yeah, there's return. Return. So reply refers to a response you return in order to answer question. Yeah, to reply to answer. Honestly, to respond. Respond. What's he? Sandal Temple. I don't know what that is at the moment. What's he? Something. 你的答复。
我期待你的答复。
我期待。Oh, is that die too? 我期待。Yeah. Okay, 我期待 like kind of also holding on to things, right? Japanese，我期待你的答复。张是 no， 张 something， 任 something 答复。
正式答复。
Oh, it's still 是。Okay, so this one is overlapping with 是 with an extra radical. 正式答复 formal 正式 prompt reply something 时答复
及时答复。
及时答复
答复
or reply
计划
计划 Okay, so to divide, to calculate, oh boy. The first part of my plan is to calculate how best to divide time and effort for the sake of the planning. Okay. Alright. 我们的计划开始场 shape 了
我们的计划开始成型了。
成型了 OK 你周末 Is that 周你周末的计划是什么？
你周末的计划是什么？
Okay, that's Joe.
计划商讨
salesperson and discuss. So discussing. The salesman comes to you with something to discuss, so you discuss it with him. Alright, sure. 我们需要商讨明天的计划. Oh, that's a great way to rope that in. Nice. 商讨对吧
商讨对策。
策 OK
商讨刚刚商讨准确
哦Heck.
答复
How did that work? Dracula auditoriums slap someone a bamboo because of gloves? What the heck is the da for? Something about bamboo and gloves. Dracula slap someone with gloves or hold up. He leans on a piece of bamboo he's using as a fashionable cane. A pretentious guy went by and Dracula calmly takes off his gloves and slacks him. But yeah. So it is that one. Okay, that's fine. Oops. Okay.
计划
To calculate to divide is first part of a plan. Alright, it's fine. Alright, next one. 万道. Dao was drop. To forget, to drop. Something is to forget is by way of dropping it from your mind. Okay. To slip from mind. Ooh, slip from mind. I like that. Interesting. 请不要忘到你的 promise
请不要忘掉你的承诺。
承诺。他 something 玩到过去的something 疼
他无法忘掉过去的伤痛。
痛 Oh yeah, 痛 My bad 痛 Which is pain. So 伤痛 pain. Okay, and 过去 past 无法 unable 无法伤痛
忘掉
忘掉拿到忘掉忘掉
字典
Oh, it's not 字典 Oh, no, 字典 is something else. I guess we're gonna get dictionary soon too. But this is 字典 which is a character canon or a record. And take dictionary too. Contains a canon of all. So 这本字典字典真的很大。
这本字典真的很大。
我的手机里有一本字典。
我的手机里有一本字典。
在字典里查一个字。
在字典里查一个字。
一个字。Okay.
字典街道
streetway or street road, just still a street. I still think it can probably end up being a road if you're referring to it. 街道两边 both sides of the street. Yeah. 这里的街道很安静。这里的街道很安静。
街道夏天
summertime is summer. Or summer, you know. 这里的夏天 something 别热 特别 yeah 特别
这里的夏天特别热。
特别 not okay I thought it was two 特别 or 特别热。北京的夏天热吗？ OK
夏天康复
康复 return to health recovery to recover yes to get well. Oh, there's Sub-Zero. What's up? Are you well?朱宁教日康复 Yeah, I wish you an early recovery. Wish 朱宁 formal 朱宁教日 early days or an early recovery. 康复 What was this one? Wu? Yeah, that's Wu. And then something else.
康复无望。
无望. Okay. What are you up to? How are things? What do you got going on?
康复
康复. Okay. 忘掉.
忘掉
Didn't we talk about something that I was looking for? Oh, how's Steins Gate? Ah! Oh. Oh, I wrote the wrong. Yeah, that's a typo. Fine. This is
街道
this is lessons.
康复字典
字典. Whoops. Oh, 下. Whoops. 下天.
下正
Good,
确
just finished one of your bigger semester projects yesterday. Awesome. Way to go. So you went out with a few friends to celebrate. How do you and your friends celebrate such things? Haven't watched much since last time. And now that I'm free of one obligation, I'll have more time. Ah, okay. How does one celebrate nowadays? 正确. So authentic, correct, which is still correct and accurate. We have double accurates again. Okay. 他的打 something 他的打 something 是正确的
他的答案是正确的。
答案 Oh, it takes up that on 答案 Okay. We had a few drinks at one of the guys' place, then we went to this one student bar. Oh, that sounds cute. That sounds lovely. I miss starting to getting a little nostalgic. 正确的方向是什么？
正确的方向是什么？
So the correct direction is what? Okay. 这是正确的方法。
这是正确的方法。
Just method. Because we have those.
正确 关掉，
关掉，关掉, which is to close or to shut or turn off. Do I have shut off too or switch off? We're gonna have to shut off. And then 掉 is to reinforce. Something make the switch drop down so that electricity shut off, yeah. But you don't know. Going out doesn't really hit the same anymore ever since you got in a relationship. Well, I hope it doesn't hit the same. If you know what I mean. Hear me out here. Humor me a little. Were you expecting it to stay the same? I think this is a really interesting question that I tend to think about over the years that I no longer like process anymore. When you have like something change in your life, I don't know, do you often ask yourself it hits the same? Like are you expecting it to hit the same? I usually don't anymore. And one step forward, even one step forward. Not only do I not expect it to hit the same, I expect it for hitting different to be more interesting. If you know what I mean. Maybe that's a different perspective shift in one's life at some point. But usually, as I, with every passing day, I like to think that things don't hit the same anymore. They would hit different. For better or for worse. But I guess when you say it doesn't really hit the same, that's a bad thing, right? Or that's a thing that is undesirable. But you can embrace the difference. It do hit different, Kappa. Do your friends are they not in relationships? You could talk about that. That's always kind of fun. Or maybe not in relationships. I'm not sure what the status quo is.你可以把音乐，你可以把音乐关到，
你可以把音乐关掉。
关掉，好，关掉。Some are and others not. Those who are kind of feel the same. Oh, and whenever one guy becomes single, they all of a sudden want to arrange night outs. Oh, of course. Yes. Companionship, in my opinion, is a wonderful way to indirectly ask for help. Or not in the sense of asking for help as in they need help, but more like it's a wonderful reflex for obviously overcoming breakups. It's very human condition, both intuitive and non-intuitive. For those who don't find it intuitive, it's quite intuitive for those who are unaware. 电视 instead of closing one off, right? I would be far more concerned when someone has a breakup and they don't want to hang out. You know what I mean? Like if I had a friend who I knew had a breakup and then they suddenly ghosted everyone, I would be probably far more concerned than someone who says, oh yeah, you know, that's okay, let's just go out and have fun, we have more time, that kind of thing. So it would be far more reassuring to me that someone who is actively still going out and they don't give up hanging out with people after a breakup, because it can be very tough to want to socialize anymore. Who knows? Who knows? You could be that guy. It's like, I got your back, bro. I certainly have some experience with that. Being that guy. The guy that gets called up. Like, nice. Let's go. This day is about you. 关掉。
关掉。划分。
划分。The heck of 划分. Divide into parts. I guess that makes sense. Simply divide it into different parts. Partition to divide still, yeah. 我们 something 划分成两个小 group. Oh wait, I should know group. 猪? No, I don't know group.
我们被划分成2个小组。
猪 It's related to 猪 though. 猪 Oh. Yeah, it's related to 猪 though. Bay. Guess I should have known that, Bay. Oh, there, Joe. Long time. Yeah, it has been a long time. How have you been, Joe? 全市划分成四个 district.
全市划分成4个区。
区 Freaking.
划分。
划分 Chill weekend. I've been pretty good. Yeah. 2005, lots of new projects, lots of new little things here and there, lots of stories. Chill weekend. Yeah, I have to make sure I'm on time today
火。
because we get to watch some. The gang and I get to watch some anime together, so I have to be vigilant, not take too much time. The group is finishing up. Because we're moving to the second season of Haruhi Suzumiya. Whoa. Okay. To live. Yeah. Do they have lively? Okay, that's fine. I was like, yeah. Might default to lively. Be alive, yeah. So, Hua. The Hulk is inside. What are you up to now? What have you been up to in this long time? Since the last time we spoke, yeah, more different ways of interacting with language learning. We are now, Japanese, Chinese, and Spanish as planned. "2025 brings a bunch of new things that integrate things I like to do and what I'm currently doing." So the Hulk is inside the office building, sure, where he is now working so that he has money to live. Go on. He sits in his cubicle where his annoying boss talks loudly, his tongue spraying saliva all over the Hulk, Rip, who's hunched over in his tiny cubicle. The Hulk seriously consider whether he wants to continue to live under such conditions. Okay, so I like the idea. How do we place him inside the office cubicle? And how do we know it's Hulk? He's squeezing into a tiny little cubicle. Alright, nice. To revive. Oh, copy. To return to life. I see. 复活. To survive. I don't got anything for Sin yet. Hawkeye. Serve right. Should. To live. To should. Should live. Serve right. 活动 activity. To live at move. To live move. Motion. 生活 okay, that's just life and life. Lively life. Lots of life.
活者
Oh, okay. Alright, one who? Jeez, that's one way to put it. Yeah, one who. Okay. Alright, fair enough. So James Bond. Right. James Bond is in the basement of the electricity plant. Okay. Something has to initiate basement in electricity, where he works as a security guard. That's electricity planty. He currently escorting an elder as part of a tour. The elder suddenly stops walking, stares James down, and turns into a mini sun, plugging himself into the hanging wires. That's because the elder is the one who can emit sun energy. That's interesting. How do you feel about RNG in games? You for it or against it? I am, oh, that's interesting. You only gave me 2 choices. Okay. Between those 2 choices, I am for it because my favorite one of my go-to guilty pleasures are roguelike games. And without the RNG or the seeding or the re-rolling, I have very little to adapt to. Like, without RNG, you are adapting to the game itself. With RNG, you are persistently adapting to the game as the game is going. So, I quite like that. It can be technically, right, we're not talking about the degree of RNG, as in like true RNG or not RNG, but I like permutations. Combinatorial aspects of it. I like to respond to things. So, most of the games I play tends to be like that. Deck builders tend to be roguelike in general. Like Battlegrounds on Hearthstone, most of them. Specifically for RNG and item rolling, not like crit stuff, which I think should be a core mechanic. Item rolling is still an adaptive thing. Have I seen the Switch 2 release? I have seen the Switch 2 release. Are you getting a Switch, Joe? Are you planning on it? I have not owned a Nintendo console since my breathing days, so I'm a little bit emotionally detached from it, but it's an exciting time, sort of, for Switch owners to find out it's a $500 console and titles range from $80 to $90, with essentially a closed ecosystem manufactured by the monopoly Nintendo. You have a Switch and you're very into it? Nice. I hope you are able to acquire the Switch 2 and enjoy it as well. I quite like the aspect of having a hybrid rendering system to allow backwards compatibility. That's kind of a bit an unprecedented thing or motion for Nintendo, so that's wonderful. And also, Dao, we can both enjoy similar titles now, which is great because the Nintendo's wall has been open to import, not export, but import. So in the future, we could talk about titles like a Dragon because Sega has officially imported, and they're an allied import for Nintendo as a side plug for the things that I typically enjoy, which are Sega published things. Yeah, an import. What I mean is the exclusivity wall has been brought down, so other publishers are actively exporting, and that includes Nintendo welcoming the import. And what I mean by that is Nintendo is getting titles from other publishers who don't typically publish on the Nintendo platform, largely because of possible like hardware restrictions or coding restrictions or proprietary royalty stuff. So Like a Dragon, for example, is coming to the Switch, for example. And Like a Dragon being a series that I have a lot of fondness with. So that's an option now. Unless, you play on the PC and stuff. That's perfectly fine. But there's more exposure, basically. For item rolling Sub-Zero, yeah, like lots of titles. Lots of different titles, like the PEGI thing, the rating system. Like, oftentimes Nintendo had been very restrictive on their cultivation of what type of things can be on the platform, right? They had this brand and this idea, but it's a little bit more open now, like because the other publishers are more inclined, like, okay, Nintendo, how do we get our game, like, I mean, Mortal Kombat is on the Switch, although let's not talk about MK1's hardware conflicts, so like problems with the Switch, like the Switch 1, but the Switch 2 could remediate that. So it's going to be neat. I will be able to talk to other people about games that I play that can be played on the Switch. That's pretty neat. I think that increases the exposure and the level of conversation that people can have. Because some people are like, oh, I love my Switch 2, and if I say a title, it'd be something like, oh, they don't have that on Nintendo. It's like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. We got to talk about something else. But Switch 2, that announcement was pretty exciting. I think I was the least impressed, per se, or unexpected or surprised by the hardware side of things, largely due to the massive amount of leaking and that and speculation. But the software deal side, that was very interesting. I think one of the interesting developments is that while Nintendo may not be open to exporting their titles and their IP to other platforms, you can see an active welcoming. The bad thing is that you're not sure you can get Switch 2 at first. Oh yeah, because of the embargo. Or the suspension because of tariffs thing, if you're talking about that. Or unless you live in a place that's not affected by the global tariff thing going around and delaying on calculating availability of stuff outside. Yeah, I heard about that recently. That's the most recent thing I read about with the Switch 2 thing. Yeah, you also like RNG as long as it can't be easily manipulated. Well, yeah, that would be an RNG thing. The reason you asked was because there's RNG and weapon attribute rolling, but it's easy to manipulate, unfortunately. Yeah, that's fine. I think when you manipulate the thing, it means that it must be manipulated. So you could have no need for manipulation, which is less RNG. If you know what I mean. So like they could design a game with no RNG and then there wouldn't be a need for manipulation. So I think you're comparing it with something that can't be manipulated and manipulated. So I don't think it's the question of RNG. It's the question of manipulation. At least in my opinion, Sub-Zero. I think you're more concerned about RNG being manipulated than if there is or is not RNG. So the question is, do I care if if RNG can be manipulated. I actually do. I do care about it. Roguelike games, one of the essential things about manipulation is understanding how permutations work. So part of the idea of being good or interesting about roguelike games is that consistency goes up when quote unquote choices in the RNG process is used to inform consistent success. Errors and height when launched, multi-factors. Okay, I see now. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I agree with you that it sucks when a game introduces a mechanic and is completely superseded by its design. It's completely superseded by a practice. So, kind of like, for example, adding magic to Elden Ring and then people telling other people not to use magic. I think it's more that's kind of question here, as opposed to whether there is or is not RNG in the game. For me, RNG is in the game. If you want to manipulate it, up to you. However, Monster Hunter Wilds, it's a multiplayer game. So then when you talk about manipulation, it's about the manipulation, not the RNG, because of fairness, right? It's the perception of fairness. And I can understand why it is unfortunate that if people have to choose or not choose, they're not segregated on their integrity with superseding a mechanical game. As a single player experience, like for example, if Monster Hunter Wild was a single player experience, whether RNG or RNG is in it, I would say yes, I prefer RNG. However, I also prefer not to not manipulate. Oh, no, okay, that's a double negative. I would manipulate it to the best of my ability to increase my success, because the ability for me to manipulate within the game, right? Within the game, obviously Monster Hunter Wilds, I think you're referring to something outside of the game. Within the game, it does involve being able to understand how to manipulate RNG to be consistent in a roguelike game. So that's part of the reward of being it. Now for your hand, I'm totally thinking you're talking about third-party ways of manipulating Monster Hunter Wilds. So something that's outside the system. And I guess that it's unfortunate because that destroys the fairness of the multiplayer game. It's also one of the reasons why I do not typically prefer those type of games, largely due to that type of like ethical and moral dilemma a lot of times. That also includes Elden Ring, actually. So if you're, a Souls-like fan or something like that, and you think of Elden Ring, that also plays into that too. It still exists in most of those type of games. I like deck builders. I manipulate the heck out of the RNG, but I stay within the system, right? The system. So the concept of manipulating probabilities is one of my favorite things about RNG. How you can manipulate RNG even though it's supposed to be random, right? Like, or some random. Yeah. That part is my favorite discovery in a roguelike game. So ironically, an effortful manipulation of RNG is a little different from a effortless outside system non-competitive process that gives you a edge. I want to say one last thing very quickly to be in sake of brevity. When it comes to life though, how big your system is can make it okay for people to try to manipulate it. Despite like maybe the developer saying no, it's not allowed, then sure, I understand, it's unfortunate. But if the developer doesn't come out and say no, it's not allowed, then it's life. You are outside of the video game, right? So what I mean by that, if someone comes up to me and say, man, you can't use training wheels to learn Japanese, right? You can't learn training wheels to use Japanese because that's not part of the rules. And I'm like, who says so? No one says it. So I can choose to use the training wheels or I choose not to. It's based on my integrity and my own choice. Because the system, I'm outside the system. When someone works in a system, like, oh, you should only learn Japanese using Anki, and I'm outside the system, then that creates emotional unfairness for better or for worse. So that person could get angry because I don't use Anki for Japanese, or the person could be elitist and suggest that I don't use Anki. It's emotionally impactful because it's not a level training ground. Sometimes when people provide advice, they want to normalize the advice for better or for worse. And that comes with where your system is. So when it comes to deck builders and RNG, I manipulate the heck out of it within the system, knowing that whenever I play a deck builder, I already have an unfair advantage because I have experiences outside of the very specific game. So when we're thinking about RNG from that perspective, you can already manipulate the RNG and your success prior to even playing the deck builder. And that can be very close to Monster Hunter Wild situation. However, with one big asterisk, you are being compared to other players. And that's probably why I try to mitigate this feeling of exploration because I choose my multiplayer live service update-ish, right? Tangent, like adjacent games very quick, like very strategically. Actually, because I do understand how kids and players and gamers interact with their systems nowadays. And sure enough, I do not find this surprising, considering Monster Hunter Worlds was set a precedence for that too. And then, hear me out, one last hot take, and then you cue the constant aggressive complaining about De Nouveau or anything like De Nouveau being in video games to prevent these things from happening, but it's still not good enough because in the end of the day, when someone goes around and say, take off De Nouveau because I don't cheat, it's like, well, yeah, you don't, but the world doesn't revolve around you. Statistically, a company continues to use De Nouveau and all the other things, especially in Japan. De Nouveau is still like a Dragon is a great example. Those series is like, wait, why do we need De Nouveau in, well, human condition? So the company definitely knows far more exposure to the illicit activities of their consumer, in my opinion, than a chance that someone who thinks they're the main character in the universe, right? That's a really hot take, but all of this is kind of blending together. I have like a whole narrative that goes from that whole, you're sucking my performance because they put an anti-cheat thing that is outside the game, but I don't cheat, so therefore why should it be there kind of thing. You're a bit burnt out, your Monster Hunter Wilds already because of this. The endgame weapons have this, RNG manipulation. It's probably reminiscent of the post-launch content in Monster Hunter World. And I think that there may be a lot more motivation for you to grind if it wasn't possible to manipulate a game and get the perfect weapon within a day. That's interesting. Comparison is the theft of joy, right? You could argue that it's your own fault for manipulating the system. But when it's so obvious, I almost feel like the game is prompting you to enable cheats right in front of you. Comparison is the theft of joy. Yes, it is a very, very tough world to live with clairvoyance and information about how other people conduct themselves. So the question is, are you a person that's bothered by a system that is abused by other people, or do you choose to ignore it and accept that it still exists, right? And for myself, it would be the same as saying, hey, am I learning Chinese the best way? It doesn't affect me. So to both those questions, plus minus RNG, plus minus people manipulating RNG, sounds like they know what they want. I know what I want. I'll probably grind for the thing if I want it, but I'm not interested in Monster Hunter Wild though. Procall asked me about Monster Hunter Wild as well. Monster Hunter World is sufficient for my iterative design exposure to like the systems for now. Maybe in another 2 or 3 years, perhaps. But generally speaking, comparison is certainly the theft of joy. Indeed. It's kind of like starting using HanziHero and then someone says, oh yeah, but this thing is so much better. It's like cheating. Like you're learning Chinese and you're having fun and it's the best thing ever. And I'm sitting here, it's like, well, I like HanziHero plenty. I'll smile and enjoy the choices that I've made, knowing that if I so choose, I can go and use those things. And that is a double edge, right? It's a double edge. Some people would say, well, if you can't beat them, join them, right? And that could be act as a benevolent motivation to be helpful. Like someone coming up to me and telling me Duolingo is garbage because they want me to join them, and that's an act of kindness. But I think that comes from an emotional ability to not accept that someone could have fun doing something that they're not doing. There are kind people who would suggest things like that out of the kindness of their heart. And then there are selfish people who project their frustration knowing that other people don't do the things that they do. The latter for the Monster Hunter World question. It's the predicament. It would bother me none. I would not be bothered at all with knowing that people manipulate RNG. In fact, I come to accept that there are going to be that. I also, much like coming to accept that content creators are negligible a lot of times, negligent about their liabilities for the things they speak and talk about, which was part of the earlier digression today in Wanikani, where people tend to normalize and lie right in front of me only to later verify and confirm most of my suspicions earlier, where someone came and talked like they're disabled. They practically lied to me 6 times, and then when I was being direct with them, they were clearly very competent person, spoke incredibly elegantly, as in typed incredibly elegantly, and yet used it in an argumentative way in order to save face and elevate themselves in saying, well, you just don't understand, and then move along, as opposed to continuing to discuss. But they clearly did not, and they clearly tried to act like a 16-year-old kid while being far more competent and far more educated. All related, in my opinion. But yeah, it sucks if you feel that way. It can get you to burn out in the game for sure. Like for example, Wanikani and HanziHero, if I knew these two things exist, like for example, people speedrun Wanikani, people speedrun HanziHero, and people speedrun Duolingo. And when someone posted their speedrun of Wanikani, they said, okay, so here are the rules that I used and the tricks that I used to speedrun Wanikani. And then immediately a whole list of threads saying like, oh, well, you can't do that. That's kind of like cheating. Like, oh, well, you did this to bypass the thing. That's cheating because I would have to do it this way. Same deal. Same deal. No, that's what happens, and it sucks, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't feel this way, but I also would hate to hear. Are you leaving now? Take care. Take care. Thanks for stopping by the way. I hate to hear someone I know stop loving or wanting to play a game they enjoy because comparison stole their enjoyment away. That kind of sucks. So sorry to hear that about Monster Hunter Wild, especially when you have a new computer and it's practically for Monster Hunter Wild, in my opinion. I was that one of the reasons too? I don't even know. But I feel like it's almost lined up. So that's like doubly kind of disappointing. Yeah. You personally had a hard time avoiding it once you know what goes under the hood. Now you're listening is what I want to. It's what you wanted to say. Yeah, it sucks. I totally agree though. For like an emotional, trying to be like emotionally empathetic as much as I can be here, or sympathetic at least. Kind of similar to when you discover how RNG is manipulated in Shining Hunting for older Pokemon games. Yeah. You envy me for being able to ignore it? I don't think it. I mean, thank you. But that also means that you can use it to drive something as well. What I mean is, while you can't ignore it, it can certainly make you do things. So you could turn it into a constructive power. I don't know what it would look like. It wasn't the primary reason, no. Okay, just more of a coincidence that it came out around the same time. Oh, for the Monster Hunter World thing, Wild thing, yeah. So what I want to say here though is, if it annoys you, right? If it annoys you, if it causes you to burn out, I think there are fantastic ways you can channel that frustration. Like, for example, righteous indignation. I think righteous indignation has a lot of practical applications. I am right, I want to do the right thing. It can be very powerful. And with due diligence and discipline, you can channel that like frustration. Like, for example, someone will come up and say Duolingo sucks so much, it never works, and then your righteous indignation would be like, well, it doesn't do nothing, I can prove that it does something. And then you would like double down and be more creative and try to make it work. That can work too. I don't know how you would substitute for Monster Hunter Wild, but channeling it into like another game that maybe has less of that can do something. Or going around trying to express yourself like, oh, I got this stuff without doing these cheats. Here's how I did it without doing these cheats. That's a way like Souls games and other players do things. Like, oh, hey, all right, you want to use magic? I'm not going to use magic. And then the other person's like, well, I want to use magic. Here's my run using magic only. That kind of thing. That can be very powerful too. So instead of like accepting defeat, so to speak, like, well, there's no reason for me to enjoy the thing that I like to do anymore, but you're choosing to do it. So there's got to be reward that is unconditional. Otherwise, in my opinion, comparison will likely take a hold and like kind of sap the joy out of everything. Like how to properly learn things, how to do things, or doing things correctly the first time ever. That's kind of how, or being talented. Oof, being talented is a deep cut in that. That's probably what I would say. First time you watch the stream, I like this kind of deep convo, but in a way I agree with the view of whether or not you are in the system or outside of it. Yeah, for life I try to be outside the system most of the time. So in a way, you know, the whole like allure or attraction of life hacks, that's kind of why people like life hacks. And I don't really talk about life hacks too much, but honestly, if I had to look out the way I stay happy or the way I stay consistent, it might as well be a life hack, because it's not like everyone does it. And am I sharing it? Not really. I'm trying to show some of it, but you don't share these things. They're kind of acquired and created, in my opinion. Like, for example, yeah, maybe when I was 16, or actually, yeah, maybe when I was 16, I was not happy with how other people had things I don't have. For example, like, oh, these people, they have private lessons, for example. That's like cheating to me, right? I played the violin when I was when I was in high school, and violin positions in orchestra are graded based on your performance. So where you are positioned and how important you are is based on your aptitude for violin. But someone who cannot afford a private teacher is certainly at a disadvantage for someone who is. But if your system only includes the possibility of teaching yourself how to play a violin, then certainly anything outside the system that you're working under would be unfair. So as a kid, yeah, there might be some envy and problems, like frustration involved, but ultimately that's probably one of the examples that I might seem like frustrated, but I had far more things going on in my head that I'm worried about than saying, oh, I can't be as good as these people who have private teachers. In fact, I was actually quite better and above average than the others. So I made do with what I had, as opposed to using a point of comparison. I'm not saying you shouldn't do points of comparisons, both. Comparing things, at the same time being able to decide what is more meaningful for you. I liked Monster Hunter World knowing that, for example, not Monster Hunter Wild, but Monster Hunter World, I knew that at minimum, most people had a RNG hack and a monster locator and a seed generator. So when they when you SOS flare and they come in, they know exactly where to go, well, you could argue, oh, these people cheated their way to competence, but it could also be players who played the game so much that they're expediting the process because there are certain elements that they don't like anymore, right? And that's to be super fair to all the possible motivations, or more than that. There are far more other motivations when people uses like RNG manipulation. For example, they don't want a game with RNG, but they love Monster Hunter Wild. So does that stop them from playing after acquiring the armor? So if you acquire the armor in, like, say, a year's time, and someone acquired the armor in one day, would that one day person still be playing the game for that year? You can't answer that question, but I would say in terms of Monster Hunter Wild things, they are more likely to continue playing the game when they play the game the way they want, as opposed to the game the way only you want. So unless, Capcom can always come by and swing the ban hammer, right? That's perfectly fair. Yeah. Understandable. I'm not sure what Capcom said about it, but I know it already exists. It exists in Monster Hunter World, like all of it. In fact, I literally played Monster Hunter World on stream, and someone used like an ad hoc thing to determine where the monsters are, because chasing after the monsters and watching them where they are going in live is not as great as knowing where they're going to be exactly, and that is already manipulated. So you can have a script that goes that, and that was part of the downtime that people who played like 500-600 hours of Monster Hunter don't really want to do anymore. So that's kind of another deeper example of it. But in a way, being in a system with people using the same path is kind of comforting. It really is. Yeah, like that because everyone's doing the same output, that you will have the same result. Yeah, mostly in a closed system. Yeah, in a closed system. When you're thinking about video games in a closed system, it still won't be exactly the same result because the person is outside the system. No matter what, any video game, the person is outside the system. However, it can mitigate spuriousness. It can mitigate spuriousness of the results. So that creates a sense of fairness. However, for myself, if I am a gamer, right, that you're comparing to, I will most certainly be an outlier in how I approach the game, because I am outside the system. No matter what system I place myself in, I typically bring all of my thing to the system. So like, for example, if I start Duolingo, even if I don't understand Japanese in Duolingo, there are things about me that make me more likely to treat and use whatever's in Duolingo system. Like, I'm not literally manipulating Duolingo, but because of my prior experience outside of Duolingo, my success with Duolingo is the results of Duolingo is incredibly different. And that's kind of how I view myself and people perhaps like me when playing video games. So the question is, how often does that happen? I don't think it happens as frequently enough for people to be upset, but that's the viewpoint I have. You will forever be outside the system when it comes to video games. The choice is yours to restrict yourself and discipline yourself to play by the rules or not. But hear me out. Your experience is never by the rules. Unless somehow you can unlearn all your legacy. Like, what is a fair system? Introduce a control scheme that no one has standardized. Would it be fair to say that it's comforting when you have someone who never played a Monster Hunter game start playing a Monster Hunter game versus someone who has previously played a Monster Hunter game? That's outside the system. So yeah, it's comforting in the sense that it minimizes spuriousness in the output, but in no way does, in my opinion, taking humans, applying a system, and not taking into account sampling bias, because sampling bias will exist. It is outside the system, the people you are sampling. So does Capcom enrich for people who manipulate RNG or not? I would say in Monster Hunter Wild, not above average. It's kind of below. I think largely Monster Hunter players are far more like, it's not the norm when it comes to RNG manipulation. So that's a little bit comforting to know, at least in my opinion. This is a little bit bold because I'm playing off Monster Hunter World. However, other games, for example, gacha games or something, that's a whole different story. I think the social norm is to do whatever is possible to manipulate the RNG in your favor, because the overall design favors that. So you choose your environment that you're going into. I, on the other hand, I tend to play single player games with RNG, and that still can be compared. You can have someone who speedruns, who knows how to manipulate the RNG, kind of get at your face and say, why don't you just use this? It's an auto win button. It's like, well, I don't want to do an auto win button. I want to make this janky like build and play with it. Like, well, if you're playing with that, you're playing it wrong. Language learning. You're learning Japanese and learning Chinese wrong. That's RNG manipulation, in my opinion, when it comes to the emotional aspect of system being outside and within a system. And for myself, knowing most of these things make it so that I'm not upset, or I can get along with it. I think it doesn't solve problems. It doesn't manipulate other people's behavior. It doesn't influence other people's behavior, but it certainly makes me not envious or get like distracted by other things. I know they exist and I can leverage them at any time I want, right? I think there's tons of people who advised me on better methods to learn Chinese and Japanese and Spanish and stuff, and like my thought is, cool, I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. I can totally leverage any of those things in the future. if I so please. So at the time, I'm not missing out on anything. I just simply chose not to do them. That would be an example, right? So I don't feel bad because that doesn't mean I can't do it as well. Like having the choice there is actually comforting to me, as opposed to, oh, here's a different story. I'll paint an even grimmer picture. When you work really, really hard on becoming a scientist, or you work really, really hard on becoming a great developer, and suddenly there's this other developer that in a fraction of your time become the superstar of everything you could possibly be, and you have no idea how to explain that. And that's the cruelty of life, in my opinion, when you do comparisons. So not only is it a theft of joy, there are things in life where it's inexplicable how advantageous other people are, and you have no way to explain it. And having no way to explain it is even less comforting, in my opinion. So that is probably where I can try to sympathize. I'm garnering that type of empathy in order to relate to Sub-Zero's frustration. Like, for example, when you're born poor, when you're born with a genetic disorder, when you're born with neurological diseases, that's something that I would say, well, yikes, right? And it works the other way when it comes to comparison. We haven't talked about where you compare yourself to a less fortunate position and whatnot. So that's the whole idea of taking things for granted and whatnot. Yeah, I digress further for that though. I mean, if it's something that has to be manipulated through third-party software or any tedious workarounds, then I wouldn't mind it as much. If it has to, okay, sure. However, the manipulation as it is now is simply done by just not saving and just not exiting the game. Okay, that's fine. You're talking about save scumming. It has a name. I feel like it would be such an easy fix from the devs to save the game after each roll, but maybe there's something you don't know. Well, you don't know if those people would stop playing if they fixed it that way. Right, that's the empathy, the lack of empathy, right? You don't know if half the people just stop playing because of that. Perhaps one day you may encounter a game in which you are pushed to do that, and then they fix it, and you would just stop playing the game, right? I mean, not that it would happen. The save scumming people stop playing? You don't know. I'm suggesting an alternative. Like they could end up stop playing the game because they're imparting some sort of choice. It's a complicated thing, but you're suggesting righteous indignation, right? Your way, your preferred way is an easy fix, but it's not an easy fix. Otherwise it would exist. In my opinion, the reality is it's not an easy fix. And do they choose to fix it? Well, they probably can fix it, actually. Hear me out. I don't think I want to undersell the Capcom developers on providing that easy fix, like mechanically, objectively mechanically, and then it's sentimentally simple to you because you believe it's just. Yeah, but why incorporate RNG in the first place then? Because they can't predict the future. So they might have seen incorporating RNG as a great idea, and then after the game is released to the public, an emergent behavior occurs. Like, for example, FromSoft didn't build a game for speedrunning in mind before there was speedrunning. A speedrunning community would be a great example if you're using the foresight that the developers have some sort of clairvoyance on what becomes of their design after being exposed to millions of people playing them. So I would say, yeah, but why they incorporate RNG? Probably the same ideas you and I would think of. But why would they choose not to fix it? That is after the fact, not before the fact. So if you're designing a game and you're like programming a game, for example, you design a product and you're like, what would consumers do to abuse my product? Well, I can put in these safeguards and these designs and whatnot. And then you release it and then you realize they still did it. So two separate questions, I suppose. But generally speaking, they probably incorporated the RNG because it was fun. And some people didn't find it fun, so they worked around it. If you were gonna ask why that consolidates both actions, like why not easy fix this and why incorporate this but still not fix it, probably because they thought incorporating RNG would be fun to the design loop of the game, and only to find out that a large significant number of people don't find the RNG fun and they circumvent it. So how will Capcom respond to this? They can choose to fix it by putting in a safeguard, which probably is very doable and easy for them, at the expense of knowing that anyone who's already doing that will be upset. You happen to be on the side that the fix would benefit, as opposed emotionally than the side that doesn't, right? So that would be the most reasonable thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've never experienced RNG manipulation for items in MMORPGs. I have, but it's probably not directly manipulating it. So for example, I play a very old game, Neverwinter, and you can get multiple procs and multiple openings based on buffering times of how opening things. So when you do RNG manipulations, like there are MMORPGs where they will release things on a preview shard, and that preview shard allows you to copy and clone your thing, but it wouldn't be on the live server. So anything that happens on the test server, right, would be can be copied and cloned and test for something. So there is RNG manipulation in the sense that someone could automate and open in batches and then see if there's a statistical separation or distribution based on batch opening. So like opening in 10s, opening in 100s, opening in 150s, and then they take that, and then when the patch goes live, they can do like multiple procs, batch opening that would incorporate manipulating the actual gacha thing that comes out. That happens quite often when there are test servers, and or data mining for people who would systematically open or trigger boxes based on buffer times and whatnot. So call it spaghetti code or emergent interactions that are beyond the clairvoyance of the developer. But as a game becomes more and more complicated, especially more and more assets and loot boxes, for example, in gacha games, which MMORPGs have microtransactions like loot boxes and whatnot. Each progressive loot boxes, while humans try to do their due diligence, there are oftentimes things that slip by. So in Neverwinter, several of these have happened before, where one could triple open, and what do? They ban those players for abuse. But it's not like everyone got caught, and who takes responsibility? That is on the PR of the company. So you could ask, yeah, but why would incorporate RPG in the first place? Then you could blame Capcom for their incompetence for not predicting the future. And then when Capcom fixes it using your easy fix, then all the people who circumvented it, being effortless or maybe ingenuity or someone, can blame Capcom too. So then the world spins around again. Capcom takes a lose-lose situation, and then you suggest something easy that causes Capcom to be in a lose-lose situation, right? It's a sucky position. There aren't winners on all ends. You just find it weird how they're incorporating RNG in the first place without considering such an obvious workaround. You think it's obvious after the fact, but I don't think it's that obvious. Oh, and there's the daily bot reminding me that that I'm also live on Twitch. Do you think having faith and being righteously being righteous and being morally ethical is an oversight or an obvious workaround? Because in my opinion, to be devil's advocate here, you are suggesting that the easiest thing is the righteous way. So with that comes obvious workarounds that you will overlook as a designer and a developer. Like, for example, what's an obvious workaround for hot coffee? Well, write hot coffee on the cup. That didn't stop the lawsuit from happening before putting hot coffee on the cup for McDonald's. What's an obvious workaround? Well, don't spill it on yourself. And on the other side, if they were aware of it, it's just weird to me why they could make the conscious choice of leaving it like that. Because you're not empathetic to the other side. It's obvious when you can view it from the other side, but it's not obvious when you're only viewing it from one side. Because it would be upsetting. Those people don't like RNG. You ask me, and you're willing to entertain the idea whether I like RNG in games or not, or I want them in RNG. Well, clearly there are people who like Monster Hunter without the RNG. So if that is a conscious choice that you can't understand, then that's probably something that you're probably going to have to negotiate with your emotional well-being, right? For myself, I can totally see why people don't want the RNG in Monster Hunter World, and they still want to, or Monster Hunter Wild, and they still want to play Monster Hunter Wild. I might even argue that because of that workaround, they are more likely to put in more hours than you do, who is upset with the idea that there's a workaround, but you're not concerned. You're more concerned about how other people play a game than how you play a game. That's probably what I would say. You move on. So if Capcom decides to fix it, what is more likely to happen? You're making the argument that more people will likely put in more hours to play the game, and not ever considering the idea that less people would play the game, which could very much happen. Case in point, MMORPGs. When MMORPGs introduce a loop that enforces a much more stringent way of approaching success, they tend to have a recession in players, a faster dropout in players after the fact, like a post-launch change, not the launch of the game. So we have normalized already this behavior, right? And now you're going to change this behavior through the action. So if they're conscious about it, why are they leaving it like that? It's a tough question and choice to make. So what would I think they might do? They probably introduce rerolls at the expense of introducing something that will remove the rerolling infinitely. So something in between where, oh, hey guys, I know you don't like this aspect of RNG. Maybe we'll lighten the RNG and make it more predeterministic so everyone gets the loot a little bit earlier. Or we'll introduce a subsystem where you can stack rerolls towards things you really don't want to RNG, right? They have done that previously in Monster Hunter World, where you can stack rerolls, and MMORPGs use this system a lot. An alternative way is to disclose how you can manipulate those odds by showing those odds. And in a way to manipulate those odds is you can contribute certain currency to increase and affect the odds of certain things to drop. So then you can like do a hunt where you would load up something and that odds would spike for a very specific thing, So then they would be actively manipulating the RNG in the game. So then you're helping and retaining the people who like to manipulate RNG actively and those who don't. So then it's in the game, so you can't complain about it. And then those people, that's in the game too, so they can't complain about it. That would be probably a far more complicated fix, but that fix is far from easy, largely because they're not only considering one side of the argument, they're considering more than one side of the argument. It's easy when you only care about your standing position versus multiple standing positions. So MMORPGs do that very, very frequently. How to manipulate pity timers, currency collection, mid-season like virtual currency playtime conversions for increasing odds for things. And I'm not even talking about free rolling and stuff. That free rolling stuff is minimal effort. We're talking about having a mid-season thing where you stack up tokens in order to contribute to manipulating the RNG that comes later with the next drop. So in my opinion, I probably think Capcom is going to implement something like that. And on top of that, probably charge money for it as well, to some extent. Like a DLC pack with a new launch thing where you have currency tokens in which you can use to farm, to manipulate RNG later down the road. Sega does this a lot, especially in PSO2. All the things that you play and stuff contributes to later RNG. So all the augments, materials and stuff, the more you play, the more you can consolidate and change them to manipulate odds for a future weapon set. So all of the things you play, you are actively manipulating it within the system. And yes, they don't have complaints about certain things, but that's how MMORPGs go about it a lot of times. Otherwise, you get the ban hammer, which it's a lose-lose for the publisher. The more they swing the ban hammer, in my opinion, it's a lose-lose for them. It's bad PR. The people that get banned, right, can use the same exact argument you used. Well, why punish me for a workaround that I came up with or that I know? It's your fault that you had an oversight, right? And an oversight could be faith, right? Like the honor system is an oversight. Righteous indignation, morals, and ethics is an oversight. You could say, oh, I didn't put this in because I trust that the player will play by the rules and do fair game and competition, or they will segregate into their own groups and only play with certain players and whatnot because they believe in a moral code or something. A great MMORPG that does this is, I think it's still up, EVE Online. EVE Online is probably the most unadulterated free system, like the largest unhinged system, in which when you leave it to the device of humanity, like a collection of players, all of these things end up existing. All those perspectives end up existing. People who choose to rob other people and take advantage of them, and then people who create their own like solitary area and commerce, like EVE Online is one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest social experiments that established that when you have rules, all of those systems exist. Now, does Capcom want that? That's an interesting thought, honestly. That's a really interesting thought if Capcom wants that to happen with their game. But excellent points. I totally like, I don't want to convince you have to be happy about this. I totally understand, in my opinion, how much that sucks. And the way I understand it is what I said earlier, where someone is literally born with no choice. And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I would say the closest thing to how you feel is like, there's no other way, there's no other choice around this. You cannot be happy knowing this, right? Or knowing this in other concepts. And for me, I would pick a situation where the other person has no choice. Like a person born poor has no choice, right? In the beginning. So they still have to try to play by the rules or try not to play by the rules. Nowadays, I think video games are so much more about freedom of choice, like however you want to play it. So developers, in my opinion, developers and publishers typically overlook restricting those choices. They negotiate and normalize on their own. For me, I love playing in restricted systems. It's my favorite thing to do. So, like, give me a puzzle game and shatter my world, cripple me, disable me in a way that I usually normally think, and I have to play by the rules. I absolutely love puzzle games, right? But you're not screaming for a puzzle game. You're screaming for a game that only fits your rules because you're the main character. A puzzle game would be fairness, as in everyone plays by the rules, but also everyone don't have legacies and morality of what's right and wrong. You are bringing your morality into the game. Your main argument is that endgame weapons should take more hunts to get morality. That has nothing to do with... Yeah, but I get it. I get that you want it to be longer. Without RNG, it could be done through requiring more resources. Sure. Which the resources itself requires RNG. So then you'll be upset that people use the RNG to make the items in order to craft the thing. With RNG it would be less, but incorporating luck, which makes it take longer to get, but all the items could have RNG and they would be manipulated. Right now, it's really just an awkward medium. I wouldn't mind removing the RNG altogether. That's fair. And again, you're talking about ones and zeros. You prefer all or none, and you're playing a game that's filled with many different people. So probably a solo game. You don't know any easy way to manipulate material RNG in Wilds yet. Just because you don't doesn't mean there isn't. And even if it's not easy and it's hard and someone does it, it'll still upset you. When it comes to manipulation and work, I would argue that you're fairly pragmatic. You always think of Occam's razor. What is the easiest way to fix something? Well, the things that you see people doing are the easiest ways to fix things. So when it becomes less easy, they go to the next less easy method. Then that becomes the new easy method. So it's a point of reference, right? You think your problem and solutions are easy until they're not. And then you work up to the new solution. So if you take away the easy way, there's going to be a less easy way to manipulate, and we're back to square one. Technically. From your logic. We're back to square one. Right? One of the best examples is the Minecraft faction server. Yes, that'd be a great example. Yeah. So, not an easy thing. I totally get it. I think it would be a very tough decision to make for Capcom. It's not a tough decision for you. I would agree. If I had to assume your main argument, that your main argument is that endgame weapons should take more time or more hunts to get, then that is clear cut. The current system does not benefit that, and the current manipulators does not benefit that. It is very precise, very all none. Agree to disagree? Fair enough. That's exactly what I would expect from someone. I agree with what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. So you may agree to disagree, but I'm not disagreeing with you at the moment. I think my response and my perspective agrees with your perspective, but it's taking you and other people's perspective in mind. There's no disagreement of what you're saying. Whatever you're saying makes sense to me. So whether you choose to agree with me, that's irrelevant to me. It's not like I'm disagreeing with you. You can choose to ignore what I say. That's perfectly all right. And that's what agreeing to disagree is saying to me. You are agreeing to ignore what I'm saying. So that's fine. Like, you wanted to hear my opinion, right? And my thoughts. Those are my opinion and my thoughts. So choosing agree to disagree means that you choose not to grow from this, from understanding me. So I'm okay with that. I'm not here to convince you. What I'm saying is important, right? Anyways, sucks. I hope you find different ways to play Monster Hunter Wild in the future, I suppose. Since we're agreeing to disagree. James Bond is in the basement of the electricity plant, where he works as a security guard. So he's currently escorting an elder for the tour. In the basement though. The elder suddenly stops walking, stares James down, and turns into a mini. So the mini sun provides energy, which puts us in the hearing is something else as well. So you're ignoring me. You're ignoring the understanding of what I'm saying. I mean, you obviously hear me because you need to hear something to disagree, but I don't think you're choosing to understand or not. And I find that's good enough for me. Like, that's sufficient. I don't think we'll ever come to this impasse when you say it's an impasse, right? I'm not saying it's an impasse. Know that I have not said that I cannot reach someone. I will continue to try. But when you say agree to disagree, that terminates the conversation. You're choosing to ignore it, in my opinion. You hear me, certainly. I say words, you're hearing it, but you're choosing to agree to disagree. Two different things, in my opinion. The elder suddenly stops walking, stares down. Okay. I need a help here. I think we can do profession. Or yeah, it's kind of like profession, huh? Or role. Like an author, so like you're a maker's role. Cool. And then this person is doing something with words and recording role. One who profession. I'm not sure if I would say profession. Like profession. I would type profession. In is kind of nuanced that I feel uncomfortable. Let's see. Reader. Is this do? Yeah, do to. Patient. Does this have anything to do with being sick? Oh. Hanta. not enough context. So this one is definitely Japanese. Like we can use this to stack with our Japanese. This one too. Journalist. Okay.
者
What did they want? As who? Who is? Alright, I only remember one who. I'm gonna probably use roll. Spray, Hulk, office building.
火者
划分。
划分
The partition. Gun che.
正确
Gun che. Yeah, gun che. 关掉。
关掉
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean that's fine. Do we need a mnemonic for yeah? Probably not. Yugi is in the bathroom of the electricity plant. That checks out. Where there are electrified cocoons hung from the top of an ashen white tree that grows in the middle of the large bathroom. Yugi sits underneath the tree and listens. That looks like a boombox? That kind of looks like a boombox. The boombox that they use is this. This is their boombox. Yeah. Boombox. And then this one is, it's white because it's a sun, and then when you add a drop, the drop of the sun is typically white. So it's a white drop. White sun drop. Oh, I know how like, I can't wait to draw these things in the future during October. But it's like this. So this is the horizon. And we're adding some waves. And then so you're imagining the sun more like this. And then when you have a drop, it's these things. It's the rays. And they're usually white. Like they are white, and then you have like the atmosphere and stuff that changes the color. So that's how they got the white drop. Yeah. So Yugi sits underneath the tree and listens to the electric music the cocoons emit, which sounds vaguely like electric guitar solos from the 60s. I don't know what that sounds like. Huh. Yeah, that's fine. Orchestra. Yeah, 对, ooh, orchestra team. Or like a music team or an orchestra. 音乐, of course. Sound music. 乐团. I guess the other one has something to do with a group or something. 乐器. Musical instruments, but have something to do with... Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And rock music. Nope. I don't have any context with the other two characters. Whoops.
月空
Kung, empty. That is certainly Kung, empty. You know, does Kung mean sky? It does. Okay. I was just making sure. Aviation, sky, yeah. Oh, it could also mean air. Oh, but air could mean air. Empty, yeah, no. Okay. So Kermit the Frog is in front of the temple, where it is completely empty. No monks, no activity, only a walking dollhouse that is in the middle of a rock garden. Kermit goes over to it and reaches in and pulls out a crossbeam out of the dollhouse that was inside the walking dollhouse. Now the walking dollhouse is empty too. Alright, Kermit the Frog with nothing to do feels empty too. Oh wow, that's kind of dark and depressing. It's very dark and depressing.
空
I feel a little I feel a little emptier inside reading it. Jeez.
像
Xiang. To resemble. Yep. Yep, Xiang. We finally got elephant. That's fine. Yeah, we're fine. Elephant's good.
像
Stacks. Do we have... This is probably not going to be statue as well, right? Or image. Okay. Xena is in the bathroom of the chapel looking for the holy elephant. Okay, holy chapel. She busts open one of the stalls, bathroom, and thinks she finally found him, only to realize it is actually Slenderman. Okay. Xena has a condition where Slenderman and elephants resemble each other. Alright. In fact, if she looks in the bathroom mirror, she thinks she resembles an elephant too. Her ears start to flap in the reflection. Oh, that's weird. Poor Xena. Let's see here. Oh, there is reflection in it though. There is also image in it. Because there's video camera. Oh, 像 is seem. Okay, resemble still works. 画像 portrait, that resemble still works there too. 想象 Xena has a mental disease. Yeah, 想象 to think, to resemble, to imagine. Okay, I'm okay with this. To resemble. I'm gonna write to look like. I could see myself saying that sometimes. Likeness is something that I would probably say more. I think to look like, probably something I would say sometimes.
像 因
Ying, oh, as in like Ying guy. That's why it still should. A Birdman. Oh, a turkey and Slenderman put together. A super. Wow. All right, I got you. A Birdman, Slenderman, and turkey. A Slenderman that looks very much like a turkey. You know what? I might actually say Turkey Man sometime. But Birdman, that's fine.
应
Okay. Sought, should, or ought? Yeah. So it's a combination of Yingai. Yoshi is in front of the English manor on the immaculate lawn. This is an English manor. Their Birdman, okay, has set up a little shack to stay in. Nice birdhouse. As he is currently homeless, Birdman begs for food in front of his shack, so Yoshi does what he thinks he should and just gave him a tasty heart. Oh my gosh, there's the heart. Did I buy HanziHero for life? I did. I did buy on the promo. Yeah. What was it? 350. Birdman smiles with joy as he eats the USDs. Birdman smiles with joy as he eats the heart. As he should. It's easy to take things for granted. There you go. That was unusually poetically relevant. Yingai and yeah, Ying Dang, Ying Dang. Okay.
因
Okay. It was a timing situation. So right now my 2025 projects are all financially invested. So at the end of last year, there's a promo for all three things. Just by coincidence, the lifetime subscription was offered around the same time as a promo rate. So we have a lifetime subscription, which I disclosed in day one of all the projects. But Wanikani, I have a lifetime subscription, 250, I think 250 USD. This lifetime subscription is 350, and the yearly promo for Duolingo, I forgot how much that was. 60 USDs, and that's for Wanikani and HanziHero. This project is probably gonna go to the end of 2026. So not the end of this year, but the end of next year. And then for Duolingo, that project will probably end at the end of this year. And then it might move to a different thing involving Duolingo going next year. But it would probably require a financial investment of some sort. Because we're kind of like going up the ladder as opposed to going down the ladder. I keep typing Zol because this would be Zol for statue. Elephant, Slenderman. Xena. Bathroom.
像
For the chapel. Turkey, heart. Here you go, heart. Yoshi. English manor. Front. Immaculate garden, right? Immaculate
Ying.
yard. Boom.
空
Or Kermit the Frog.
月
That's legacy. All right, it's time to lock in. Oh, I think I'm gonna disappoint some guys because I'm gonna go really late. Alright, we're gonna try to lock it now. Okay.
其他
有些
We're just gonna go as quickly as we can.
飞往
飞往上海，
与故
Son of a, I keep getting stopped. Spear.
业务
恢复正常业务，
求医
他决定去医院求医，
前往
只身前往，
Like a head. Tianwang. Yeah, to head towards. Straight forward, head towards. We're okay with that. I don't think I'm gonna add straightforward though. But go ahead towards Tianwang in the forward direction, or head towards something. Kind of hard to express, huh? I think I could add go towards. Had to go towards. Probably a good compromise.
半天
他用了半天做完作业，
What the heck are you? Son of a bee sting. We have fins. It's not a goblin. Oh, it's an aquarium.
黄运主办
公司主办的活动，
看法
你的看法不一定对，
太卡断休克
病人休克了，
Son of a bee sting. Cricket and flowers.
万服务
公车的服务非常好，
Nope.
告诉
我要告诉你一个好消息，
坏人
为什么大家都觉得他是个坏人？
渴求，
他渴求成功。
I'm gonna add to head toward to go toward. Um,
坏，老，
okay. Okay.
带来，
他给我们带来了好消息。
Oops, that's the wrong tone. I typed too much.
高，
That's a typo.
大师，
国画大师，
住，
Assist. Yeah. Oh, nope. Oh, wait. What? What did it shake on? Wait, what did it shake on? Hold up. Compass. Oh, I know why it's shaked on. It's fine. It's fine.
高层，
高层办公楼，
雨，
That's a typo. No. It's Hulk House.
湖，狗，出卖，
为金钱出卖灵魂。
亮点，
这旅馆的亮点，
发亮，
他的眼睛总是发亮的。
Stan. Female.
街，外卖，
吃外卖披萨，
月亮，
你能看见月亮吗？
Oh, yeah.
旅客，
旅客们，欢迎你们乘坐本次列车。
Ah! I hit the wrong button. 4 and 1. Wrong button. Oh no. Not a landslide, right? It's an ornament.
沉静呼热查出
你能帮我查出这本书的作者吗？
It's to it's actually find out, but I don't use prepositions a lot of times. So it's still to find out, but I was writing to find for to find out.
常常
他常
几
Oh no, which one is like what do they want for this? Maybe several? Z
知觉
恢复知觉，
Consciousness? Jeez. That one is gonna constantly be
会
questionable. Oh, no.
排队
请在这里排队。
里
It is inside too. But logic. Oh, that is actually a mistake. That is a mistaken identity. I wasn't looking on the left side. So that is bad. Is this still a barb or is it like a hook or crowbar? We're gonna add barb to this because it's a harpoon. We're gonna add barb to unify. It's not gonna change the meaning if it's a harpoon or a barb. Brick, caliper,
风
steel. I'm thinking of I misread this momentarily. Right. Momentarily. Which is fine. Uh
几 定
wait. I'm gonna use determine here, but I think it's level. Or set. Set. Okay, they want to set. Fine. The snake and foreman. Oh.
改
It's turned into. To alter. To turn into. To change. This is link.
亮
Uh 茉莉，
目力，
他没有目力。
Chucky，
处，小心，
他说话做事都很小心。
Alright, careful. Think.
思，
What? Oh, consider. Oh, jeez. Uh,
喝酒，
你会喝酒吗？
和，机票，
我买了3张机票。
思想，
他的思想境界比我高。
头，旅馆，
我喜欢这个旅馆的房间。
举重，
我讨厌举重。
举手，
他因为有问题而举手。
高贵，
高贵的品味。
like noble, first class, hierarchy. Yeah. Like high class. Oops. Oh. Wait. Oh, I misread that. Portion. No, not portion. No. Oh. Silenced. It's silenced. Right. Because rules. Own rules. Silenced. Alarm? Did this not use alarm? It didn't use alarm. Right. Slender Man. What is this? Whoa, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so let's think about it. A guard or a stand. Oh, wait. I do know.
意
Um,
自信
他过于自信。
what was Xing that they use? Just self? I mean, just fate? Okay. I have problems with this one. Halberd, and ground and is it like Superman? What is the other part? Ooh. Oh no. Ooh. Ooh. Shu. Um. Not cool. What? Oh my gosh. Wait. No. Yeah, this one's tough. Permit. Oh, wait, no. No idea. Oh. Wait, no, that's fine. I have no idea. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, second wall. Uh. Yeah, this one is that one is rough. Ball is not used enough.
提起
他多次提起你。
也许
他也许病了。
Also permit. Hey. Perhaps. Oh, that's the other perhaps. How does that work? It's also permitted to say so. I think that's just rough. We'll just leave them for it. Largely because I don't have this one either. What's it? It's she. She is the
或许
problem.
他或许能来。
She permit is not good. It's not good enough. I think I'm gonna say Yeah, permit is not good right now. The common branch here is I don't know how to frame permit to get to maybe and perhaps for either of them.
谁知道？
他什么时候会到达？谁知道呢？
Oh, I found out how I goofed. And now I don't remember how I goofed. Oh, yeah.
部分
第一部分，
It's section. Oh. To find out it's why that was marked wrong.
“合成
学生们合成了一个团队。
单
Whoops. That's a misread on the section. Wait.
百般好看
那部电影没有很好看，
写作
我的写作不太好。
工
Oh, wait, that's an alarm.
公车
他正在等公车。
Oops. I was I need to silence. I mean I need to preserve the
弟弟
他有两
the
个弟
second
弟，
syllable. Right? Yeah.
因子
2和3都是6的因子。
日子
今天是个好日子。
Oh, wrong tone. 1-4 mix up. I meant to type 4. 大音经音基大音基
分开
他们决定分开了。
This is to break up.
见面
我很期待跟他见面。
打印机，
喷墨打印机，
Oh no. So is this a dwarf or a bureaucrat?
才
Hardware section.
旁后
Well, I misspelled shack.
女儿，
他的女儿很聪明。
羊，
Okay. So bad for woo. Jeez, bad for woo. Okay. All right, we gotta go. We gotta go. Way late. Way late. Go. Elephant. Birdman. Wall. Electricity plan, bottom, but who was it? Oh, James Bond. Duh. Xiang. Ying. Hong. Yeah. Gun. 像橡条 Oh yeah 橡条圆雀It's such a hard time with this one. Who? It was just a response, reply. 计划，计划。Plan. Oh no, to partition. Or no, plan. That's plan. Oops. Long 调。街道。康复。地点。地点。夏天。划分。This is partition.正确 correct. Oh wait, wasn't one of them? Oh, that was from previous. 关掉. All right, quickly here. Hulk. Office. I mean, inside the office. Boss yelling at Hulk forever, spraying things from his tongue and wondering if he'll continue living like that, right? Now we have James Bond basement giving a tour, and giving a tour of the electric plant, and one of the elders plugged themselves in because they are a sun that provides electricity, so they acted as a sun, right? What was it? As who as, or I forgot how this. We're gonna use role. It's a role. Okay. We have Xena, bathroom, chapel. Chapel saw a holy elephant, but Xena has problems, so Xena also saw Slender Man and thought of an elephant as well. And they look alike because she has problems. Likeness. They resemble an elephant. Slender Man resembled an elephant. Okay. We have Yoshi. Yoshi outside of the English Manor. Immaculate lawn and whatnot, and he found a bird man who's very hungry. And just plop on the ground and gave him a heart to eat. And he ought to be grateful for what he takes for granted. Oh, the bird man had a shack. Right, forgot the shack. Okay, then we have Hermit. Hermit in front of the temple. with no one around. It's all empty, right? It's all empty except for a dollhouse. Except for a walking dollhouse where he took the crossbeam out of the dollhouse, and therefore dollhouse is empty as well, just like his heart. Or Kermit. And then we have Yoshi. No, not Yoshi. Yugi. We have Yugi in the bathroom of the electricity plant. Where there are electrified cocoons. And he's listening. And he's under a white mystic tree, listening to the electrified cocoon make music that sounds like 60s music, 60s rock guitar solos. All right, cool. And then let's add to the fold. Go Baitian. Baitian. Daytime. The thought is white sun day, right? I think this is okay now. This one, yo. Gotta think of Sprout. In order to lead up to. I think this one's alright. Yeah, oh, this one's not good. So permit also. To also permit something is also perhaps. Permit. Oh, it's permit into also. Perhaps. That's a problem. And this one, the left-hand side was pretty refreshing too. It's all around problematic. So how do we do this? Huo. So we have to do Huo first. Have to get Huo down. Huo. So Huo is the Hulk. It's do or else. Emphasis on or. And then or permit. Which gets us. Or maybe. Right. Stone. Brown. This is Che. And it was the tone 4. Che. And authentic. No problems here. I think we're okay with this now. And then we're good with Fu. Which is the double sandals, double left sandals, return or recover. All right. So what am I? I'm 2 hours behind schedule. Ugh, I don't think the guys are gonna like this. But all right. That's a wrap for HanziHero today in Chinese. Are we gonna watch this later? 谢谢. Right. As always, you're more than welcome to follow along, drop your hot takes, and be ready to discuss it. Obviously, always ready to throw my hat in the gauntlet. Discussions breed idea exchanges and whatnot. Had 2 today. Don't really have time for a 3rd. So hopefully that doesn't happen for now. Until then, those who are only interested in Chinese or in traditional Chinese, 大家下次见. Right, see you next time, folks. And I am gonna take a quick bathroom break and I'll be back for Spanish. Thank you.